What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Black on Texans podcast with your boy AD. We got Leo and Bab in the building as well. What's up, fellas? Today we're talking about OTAs and we're talking about the things we talked about on the shorts on our Twitter page. Go follow our Twitter page at BlackOwn713, along with our YouTube page as well. The shorts, we talked about the players that were shining bright, in the OTAs that the coaches and Nick Caserio talked about the most. We have Davis Mills, the Almighty. We have Nico Collins. We have Jalen Pitre. We have Marlon Mack. We have Garrett Wallow. Those five names were talked about the most amongst camp bodies. We got a sixth one, but he talked about himself enough. Pharaoh Brown. He talked about himself enough. So let's focus on those five players that Nick Caserio, Lovie Smith, and Pep Hamilton talked about the most coming out of eight OTAs. I'm sorry, and let's talk about Davis Mills. The Almighty.
Yeah. Davis Mills, it seems like everything is, the coaching staff seems to have like a lot of confidence in him. Look good. What more can you say? He looked good, throwing in shorts, and it seems like there was a lot of like familiarity with the offense. It seems like, man, even just listening to him talk, it seems, and listening to other players talk about him, it seems like he has a lot of control over the playbook, a lot of thought. Well, he's able to, one thing I thought that was pretty telling is that the way he actually commented on Laremy Tunsil to me was hilarious. How, when Laremy Tunsil, obviously didn't come to voluntaries, big deal. And Davis Mills sounded like the veteran when he was commenting. It sounded like he was talking about the younger player. He's like, yeah, Laremy Tunsil came in with a strong feel for the playbook. I thought that was pretty hilarious. But man, what y'all think about it?
Yeah, man, it's pretty silly. Definitely go and watch our Davis Mills episode, what we're talking about and what we expect from him. But I think just what we're getting out of reports from OTAs and stuff like that is more than anything, they're talking about how he's got a lot of respect in the locker room and people are really listening when he speaks up, so that, it takes a lot, being, a former athlete myself, even being like in the education system, being in the classroom, when you're getting respect, people listen to you, you know what I'm saying? And one of the best ways to get respect in the NFL is to be a good player. And so if he's doing great things on the field, people are going to respect him and listen to him. So it's great to hear that he's getting a lot of respect. He's speaking up a lot. He's being a leader. All those are great. We can only take so much influence on him as a player, watching him on Twitter throw to wide open receivers. But, it sounds promising, and I'm glad that they're, he's obviously going to get talked about a lot, but the things that you're wanting to hear, they're highlighting it definitely.
Yeah. And for me, I think the biggest thing is that he is a leader in the sense of a show me leader. He shows it on the field. He's not a vocal leader. I think they've all made that clear that he's not that vocal guy yet. But he is the leader as far as like preparation, as far as like doing things on the field, kind of showing that he's ready to take over, the QB1 spot, which is expected. You're given the keys to the car, you got to go with it. You got to drive it. So, he's doing what is expected. And I think that's a good thing.
Right.
I think you get it. You should get excited for him doing what is expected, even for him being so young in his career. For him to have that label as QB1 and him being able to come in and be professional, kind of galvanize the team around him and earn the respect of his peers as a second year, going into his second year as a player, shows that he, how committed to the process and how committed to the program he is, which is something that I think the Nick Caserio, Lovie Smith, and Pep Hamilton really value, is the commitment to the program and to, everything that they want to do. And I think right now the team in whole has galvanized so that you know, look at the picture that the Texans Twitter just posted the other day with the team working out in the gym. You know, I mean, just about everybody was in that picture. You had to go through a fine-tooth comb and, you know, pick out everybody, but just about everybody was in that picture, including Davis Mills. You know, was in there. So just, you know, just to see the camaraderie and him being a focal point in that camaraderie amongst his peers is something to be excited about.
Right. And moving on, man, I mean, to someone that is going to contribute to a lot, or they're going to contribute to each other's success, you know, going into their second year, sophomore years in the NFL, Nico Collins, man. It was really interesting. I know people act like, you know, build and player types and, you know what I'm saying, weight and height doesn't matter. And, you know, they act like you get weird for saying that shit. But Nico Collins, man, I don't know if y'all, I know we haven't really talked about it, but it looked like he changed again. It looked like he might have lost even a little bit more weight. He looked very as explosive as, you know, I mean, particularly on, there was one little bubble screen that he caught in OTAs, which, you know, obviously it's not like the real game, but he looked kind of like he accelerated pretty faster than I thought he looked last year.
Yeah.
So, I'm expecting a big year from him. A lot of people have, and he's another guy that's been talked about. You know, Mills talked about him highly, said that I know we all are wondering what this offense is going to look like. Mills said that Nico has some, like, I guess, what you call it, familiarity with the offense from his time with Pep at Michigan. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, he's someone that, you know, not only just athletically, you know, he has the height and the, you know, the speed, but I think that, you know, people are kind of expecting him to, you know, get 400 yards or less again this year. But I think it'll be a great asset if he, you know, can even just get 800 yards, you know, and beyond. And I don't think that's too unrealistic of a goal for him, someone that has as high a ceiling as him. You know, a lot of people don't really talk about him too much because of where he was drafted. And he didn't play his last year of college. You know, he went straight, you know, into the pros. So, like, you know, what do y'all think about what y'all hear from him in OTAs, and what are y'all expectations for him?
I mean, yeah, the main thing that jumps off, it was like the first thing that I noticed, like when I was watching like any of the OTA videos or camp videos, anything, was like Nico Collins' like physical build. Right. You know, he looks more lean. He's moving a lot quicker. Like, you know, I always thought he was pretty quick, and like he did a great job of separation on short slants and stuff like that. And that's kind of what his bread and butter was when he was first getting involved last season. But man, I mean, his body control looks so much better. He looks like a professional receiver now. You know, he doesn't look clumsy out there, right? Some of the clips that we're seeing in camp are him just completely utilizing great body control, head fakes, body fakes, stuff like that, contorting his body to catch those touchdowns and just making it look like he's wide open, when in reality he only has about 1 yard or 2 yards of separation, right? So yeah, he's like you know, he's losing that like baby deer fatigue that sometimes these young receivers have. You know, he's finally getting his NFL legs under him. So looking really promising, and he's getting talked about a ton. And it's almost like, you know, you see any of these update videos and Nico is always like one of the guys interviewed, or one of the guys that they highlight, one of the guys they show in like a little promo. You know what I'm saying? So he's almost becoming one of those faces that they're kind of like, you know, hitching their wagon onto right now, right?
Yeah, for me, Nico Collins, I've been super high on Nico Collins because of his size, his build, his ability. Even if you go back to Michigan, what he did and was able to do with the lack of talent at quarterback at Michigan at the time, and him able to be that big play receiver, that jump ball receiver, that, you know, he's showing all those traits in the OTAs. He's showing that he can go and get the ball. He's showing that he can adjust on the ball mid-air or mid-route. He's showing that he can, you know, take the top off if need be. Showing that he has all this ability that he had in college, and that I think, like Leo said, he missed the full year of college. He missed the last year, and he came in, and I think that's one of the reasons why he was drafted in the third round, because of his lack of that missing year. A lot of players got knocked and got drafted later than expected because they missed a year, unless you're Jamar Chase or whatever. But to me, he is that productive receiver. I think he is your not a go-to, but he is a 1B to your Brandon Cooks. I think that he can be, and he showed flashes towards the end of the season that people kind of overlook. Yeah, he didn't have the full stats, but if you look at the plays that he made towards the end of the year, when everybody loves to go with Davis Mills,
Mm-hmm.
and of the year, those same games, Nico Collins was kind of showing up and being one of the reliable targets for Davis Mills. And I think that chemistry, is just going to increase. But I have real high expectations for him. If you go back to our previous video, I'm expecting that if Davis Mills is that guy, I'm expecting Nico Collins to be one of the 2,000-yard receivers that we have on the team.
Yeah.
I'm expecting him to do big things and to be close to double-digit touchdowns, if possible. Because he is a red zone target. I know we talk about Brevin Jordan and Farrell Brown, and they even talk about, TQ as being these red zone targets. I mean, Nico Collins is 6'4" with jumping ability.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a legit red zone target, especially inside the 20. To me, I think you can go, you can even do a 20-yard fade, or you can go, if you can get those type of passes where they're like corner end zone from the red zone, Nico Collins can get there. And he has the ability to make that, that toe tap, that athletic ability to do anything and everything at the receiver position. But I am expecting big things from Nico Collins just as much as everybody else is. And he's kind of showing that and proving that in OTAs.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, and another thing, not to harp on about him, but I really like how he finishes some of those slants off, man. It's like almost like damn near like I don't know, I guess more like a skinny post. But I mean, like, bro, he catches them, man, and I mean, he like literally like lowers his helmet, lowers his shoulders into the safeties, man. And like it's almost like damn near like a damn running back or like a tight end, some of the blows that he gives. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think we're building a pretty damn physical offense, I mean, if he can be that guy, I mean, shit, that'll be interesting, bro. So I mean, we knocked out the two. I guess
we still have one more offensive player that we need to talk about, and that's Marlon Mack.
Right.
The Mack truck coming back in. Marlon Mack coming off an injury-riddled season 2 years ago, and then playing sparingly with the Colts before, kind of losing his time and everything to Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Can't fault anybody for that. Jonathan Taylor was just unreal last year. So I mean, can't fault him for that. But the fact that he's coming in this season fully healthy, showing that same burst that he showed with Indianapolis, to me, I think Marlon Mack is going to be what we thought Philip Lindsay was going to be. Mm-hmm. I think that he's going to be a nice running back complement along with Damian Pierce and, the committee. He's going to be the leading person in the committee, but I think he's a perfect complement back in the committee of running backs that we have. But I think he's going to really show up because he's been talked about a lot as well. Him coming in being one of the leaders in the running back room, and him coming in and getting, knowledge of the playbook fairly quickly and being able to pick up on things and help the rookies out as well with the playbook, and as well as, him showing ability on the field as him catching the ball out of the backfield, him being able to make certain jump cuts without, it's always hesitant whenever you have that injury of ACL or Achilles, that getting back into the speed of the game and everything. So I feel that him coming in 100% healthy, he's shown that in camp, and they been talked about as well in camp.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I think I mean, how do I say this? I mean, I don't know that he will get 1,000. I hope he gets 1,000 yards. He looks good. I hope that honestly though, I really hope Dameon Pierce can, I mean, be the best running back on the team. Not because the running backs are that bad, but because he's that good. You know what I mean? So, but I do think honestly, you know, we want to be a running team, so we're gonna need multiple. And I think that hopefully they both can be like, you know, a really, really prominent one and two punch. You know what I mean? I think it's also interesting, man. I mean, people kind of you know, all of our running backs can catch the ball. You know what I mean? I don't think we necessarily have one guy that is like a true third down back. I think that, well, what am I saying? Like I don't think that we have a running back that can't play on third downs. You know what I mean? Which is a good thing. And you know, obviously I think they all have different strengths. But yeah, man, if Marlon Mack can be that 1,000-yard rusher that he was the last time we seen him play a full season, I mean that would be an extreme help to you know, Davis, Mills, Collins, and Pierce. You know what I mean? So, you know, and Pep, and just, I mean, shit, the defense, you know. So, you know, I'm excited to hear that, you know, he's back healthy and looking like he did when he left, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And you know, let's switch over sides to the defensive side of the ball. Bab, did you want to add anything to Mac? Or
Oh, I mean, I just, you know, I truly hope that Mac, for the sake of his career,
Right.
can make a bounce back. You know what I'm saying? You know, he truly was a polarizing running back for a while. You know what I'm saying? Truly. He was emerging as a perennial franchise running back, right?
Mhm.
A good name to have, you know what I'm saying, as a popular player on your team, for, you know, culture reasons, you know what I'm saying, right? And then I, you know, it's always good to add good running backs, right? I'm hoping it doesn't turn out like the last 3 veteran running backs we've signed. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, with that being said, let's move on to the defensive side of the ball, where we have 2 names that have really stood out. You know, let's start with Garrett Wallow.
Yeah.
You know, Garrett Wallow has been an, you know, admiration in this OTAs. He's been talked about by Nick Caserio, Lovie Smith. He's been on one of the starting linebackers, you know, in the OTAs, and he's shown that jump that, you know, people didn't expect really, or people, to me, Garrett Wallow was low on the radar because of where he was drafted from TCU. But at TCU, Garrett Wallow had all the tools. Garrett Wallow had the speed, Garrett Wallow had the athletic ability, and he had the coverage ability as well at TCU. So these things just took a while for him to translate. And I feel like he's finally getting to a point where he's translating those same abilities to production on the team. At the end of the year, had like a 12 tackle game. And you know, that was the highlight of his season, you know, when he finally got a chance to start. So I think that if he's given that opportunity now, along with Kirksey and Christian Harris, I think you see an upgrade at the linebacker position that we've all been hoping for. And I'm pleasantly surprised and excited that Garrett Wallow is making those strides and getting that hype behind him, because I think that takes one less thing off of the thing of people of positions we need to be focused on going into next off season, especially if Garrett Wallow is, you know, improving in that manner. Now you have 2 linebackers, one that you drafted both that you drafted in the last 2 years, that you can kind of build and say that those 2 are your core linebackers going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I think man, you know, it's just so interesting to I'm looking at some of his combine stats as we're talking. It's just so interesting to see, you know, him emerge because you know, I remember being in spaces, man, and just hearing people just like legit shit on him, saying that he wasn't worth the trade up. I mean, bro, imagine, dog, like we traded up in the 5th round to get him. I mean, we didn't give up that fucking much. He fits the profile of what Lovey wants in a linebacker, you know, like you were saying, athletic ability, you know what I'm saying, coverage ability, you know, even has experience playing in the secondary. So him becoming a starter is like a major, major win for us. You know what I mean? And I'm happy. It's very, very. I was honestly, I think out of all the OTA news, like hearing that he was, you know, greatly improved, you know what I'm saying, and that they viewed him. I mean, I guess like nobody has said who's starting, but it seems like he's gonna start, right, guys? I mean, it seems like they think highly of him. So I mean, I think this kind of was my happiest. You know, as far as returning players, I mean, you know, I was happy to hear that, you know, he had made strides. You know.
Yeah, the thing that was most interesting for me is that just kind of out of nowhere, they had like this huge like influx of information and like news on Wallow. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like out of nowhere. It was like it was just like he's starting with the ones. Kirksey thinks he's great. Casario comes out and says if he had to pick one person, it's like Wallow. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Nick like doesn't say this shit.
Yeah.
Like Nick doesn't say shit like this, right? And so for him to kind of go out of his way and like pick Wallow as like that guy, that's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I think I guess I'm not sure what happens when Kamu's fully healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, what ends up happening there? And then it's a good problem to have, you know. You don't want a bunch of pretty good linebackers. You don't want that. You would love for like 2 to emerge as like your great ones, and then you always have kind of a third. You know what I'm saying, right? It reminds me back whenever we had D'Amico Ryans and Brian Cushing. You know what I'm saying, right? And then it was like just kind of whoever you wanted on that other side. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we have a future of Harris and Wallow as that, you know, as those guys. You know, those are pretty 2 damn athletic linebackers too. You know what I'm saying? Who are also pretty similar size.
Yeah, they're the prototypical new age linebackers.
Yeah,
where they have the combination of speed, athleticism, as well as strength and power. Where they're able to go downhill with the quickness, make the tackle, make the hit. I look at players, I know he's falling off, but I look at like a Devin White. I look at what's the guy from the Bucks? The linebacker from the Bucks. David, yeah, Levante David. I look at players like even the guy from the Saints.
Davis, Demario.
Yeah, Demario Davis. Those are the type of speed to power athletic linebackers who can also not be liabilities in coverage.
Yeah.
What Harris and what Wallow are now is what we thought we were getting with Zach Cunningham.
Yeah.
Physical traits that you could possibly ask for, but he couldn't cover. You know, as fast as he was, he ran a 4.4 40. Cover a receiver or, you know, or running back out of the backfield at the linebacker position or a tight end or whatever. He couldn't keep up with them, which is weird to me. He has the length and everything. He was 6'2" or 3 with long arms. Like he was prototypical, but he didn't show it. But I feel like Garrett Wallow has shown it on the field, and I feel like Christian Harris will show it on the field, just based on his production at Alabama.
Yeah, man. So shit, I was pretty pumped about that, man. I don't know about y'all. I really wasn't expecting. I know Bab said I was not expecting that. You know what I mean? Which leads us into like another polarizing player. You know what I mean? Jalen Pitre. I almost called him Jamison Pitre. You know, yeah, Jalen Pitre. Yeah. So I mean, you know, I think. You know, obviously we've talked about this before, how you know, this is a pick where people, it's either you kind of love or hate this pick. But I think, hearing, that, I mean, he's gained confidence, and people just hearing that he was basically telling other people what to do on the damn field, you know, and just hearing the stuff. I don't know. I know we didn't talk about this even in spaces, but just hearing what Dave Aranda said about him. Did y'all like hearing how he was saying that Dave Aranda, who was the his head coach DC of
And Baylor.
LSU when Stingley was there, said that he would know the defense, inside and out. Said that, there was a noted conversation between him and Lovey where he said that having Stingley and Pitre changes the math on, defense. So I mean, when you think about like the kind of stuff you could do with when you have a true number one corner and a wild card, and then when you add in, like guys we were talking about like Wallow and
Christian Harris.
I mean, you could literally take away, the number one receiver, hopefully, praying to God. And then, I mean, we have the athleticism to pretty much match up with, I mean, the running backs out of the backfield, the tight ends, what I mean? So we could literally damn near, I hope and pray that we could play man, what I'm saying, with, teams, and we can play cover 2 man and hopefully stop the run out of that shit too. So yeah. I'm just excited about that, man. So what else have y'all heard about Pitre and how do y'all feel now about that?
I mean, the thing with Jalen Pitre is just like he came in immediately and like knew the playbook. You know what I'm saying? Like they were just like, yeah, he knows. And it's like, okay, like what position? You know what I'm saying? Like what does he know? What does he know the playbook from? Like where y'all lining him up? And I bet what they did is they were like, look, you need to learn this entire shit because we're gonna play you at 4 different positions next year. You know what I'm saying? So you need to know all these responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? You need to know if you learn all of this, we're gonna play you at all of these things. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, really, he's not just like he's not like the square peg that fits in the square hole. That's not Jalen Pitre. You know what I'm saying? He's literally a Swiss Army knife. Like you need him to blitz, he's going to be good at blitzing. You need him to stop the run, he's going to stop the run. You know what I'm saying? You need him to cover the flat, he does really good at that, So stuff like that. I mean, we were even talking about how he can play cover 2 as an outside corner. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be, I'm the most intrigued to see where they play him, aside from seeing how Davis Mills turns out. The next thing I'm the most concerned with is where do they play Jalen Pitre. That's a high draft pick. You know what I'm saying? That's a high draft pick. That's a AD, didn't you say until you get to about the 40s, you're basically drafting a first round player?
Yeah. Because those in the late 30s and late, to me, they're end of the first round picks. He was at 37. He's a glorified late first round pick.
Yeah.
For me, with Jalen Pitre, the thing I'm most excited about, because I was one of those ones that kind of was confused about the pick, didn't really understand it. What I'm excited about is that everything that he was good at in college, he's shown that in OTAs. Him being a playmaker on the ball, him, being able to make the reads and adjustments in short areas and showing that quickness, that burst in the short areas and being able to blitz and come off and make plays in the backfield. Him doing those things in the OTAs, to me, gave me excitement and hope, because I feel like he's already showing and proving that he's, to me, going to be, of the 3 or 4 defensive rookies that we have, he's going to be the one that's going to make them the most immediate impact. I think Stingley is going to take a while. When I say a while, maybe mid-season before he's like finds his footing, especially that he's played the least amount of games amongst the defensive rookies. Christian Harris, to me, is just a numbers game with him getting on the field as well, and him making that adjustment to, the NFL as well. But I think Pitre is ready made to make impact plays on this defense day one.
Yeah.
I think that, to me, I think it'll be kind of false thinking if you think he's not going to be a starter on this team. I think he is going to be a starter. He's already making immediate, it's the fact that Lovie Smith has talked about him so, and that Nick Caserio brought him up, to me shows me that he surprised Lovie. I think he surprised Lovie with his intellect and him talking with Dave Aranda and everything like that. Lovie was surprised because I don't think that was a Lovie pick. I think that was a Nick Caserio pick. And I think that Lovie Smith is now realizing that, damn, this kid can play.
Yeah.
This kid can do things that I didn't expect him to do right away. So I'm just excited in the fact that he's going to be an impact player day one and that he's going to improve the defense as a whole. So, with all of that, being said out of OTAs, to me that gets me excited when you have rookies coming in, second-year players coming in. All these players that we talked about are rookies or second-year players, except outside of Marlon Mack. They're coming in and making immediate impact in these OTAs. And to me, if that doesn't get you excited as a Texan fan, I don't know what else will. You have to see it on the field or whatever. You're still holding out doubt. But to me, if they're impressing these coaches, these veteran coaches, Lovie Smith, who's been coaching for 20 plus years, Nick Caserio, who's been running the front office for 20 plus years, or had dealings with the Patriots front office for 20 plus years. I think that is just a testament to these players and for them to open the eyes of those veteran coaches and front office personnel shows that, hey, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
But with all that being said, this has been another episode of the Black on Texans podcast with your boy AD. We got Babin, we got Leo in the building. And please like, share, subscribe, and we see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
All right,